It is a great day to be a Helldiver because a new micro patch is live and it has really shaken some things up. Typically, in most of these micro patches, not much actually changes. They are usually nothing burgers that fix crash issues, but patch 1.000.403 actually just had a huge impact on one specific item. I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one because you can already tell by the title, the Peak Physique armor passive might now be one of the best in the game. My name is Easy, and I'm going to show you why this seemingly irrelevant micro patch actually just took the Peak Physique passive from literally useless to absolutely cracked. Let's just run through the entire patch really quickly and get that out of the way because it's a really small one. In patch 1.000.403, I don't know why their patch names are so long, but Arrowhead has fixed two crash issues, one being the spear and the other one related to Hellpod skins. Obviously, the spear fix is the major highlight in this patch. It's such a good support weapon, and the fact that it got fixed merely 2 weeks ago just to turn out to be broken again is just absolutely criminal. But it is now finally fixed, so for the first time since launch, we have a fully functional spear. However, I simply don't see enough people talking about the Peak Physique fix. It's getting overshadowed by the spear, which is totally fair because the spear is awesome, but I think this armor is going to really surprise a lot of people. But let's finish out the rest of the patch before getting to that. Arrowhead has also fixed an issue where question marks would sometimes appear on maps, the Plasma Punisher can now correctly shoot through shield generators, the Quasar Cannon is now accurately affected on cold and hot planets, an issue with the Spore Spewer appearance has been fixed, an Operation Reset bug has been fixed, and most importantly for this video, the Peak Physique armor passive now properly affects weapon ergonomics. Honestly, I have no idea how they released a new armor passive and it just straight up didn't work. That is just insane considering a lot of people bought Viper Commandos with real life money. So it's just crazy that the Warbond featured armor sets that literally didn't work. Funnily enough, I got totally played by the placebo effect because I really believed it was doing something this whole time. I don't think I'm alone in that camp because I've seen a ton of people say the same thing, but now when I use the new version of Peak Physique, I can very clearly see that I was just straight up delusional. Because now, it might be my new favorite armor in the game. It is actually absurd how much it affects ergonomics. Which, if you think about it, kind of is a buff to every weapon in the game. But I do think it is more effective on some weapons versus other weapons, but I'll let you make that call. To accurately display how insane this passive is, I'm just going to straight up show you with some side-by-side examples. On the left, we've got the standard weapon ergonomics, and on the right, we've got the ergonomics with Peak Physique equipped. First up, we've got the Jar 5 Dominator, and I know these comparisons aren't perfect one-to-one recreations of the same scenario and movements, but I'm not a scientist here, I did the best I could, what do you want from me? But seriously, I want you to lock in and pay attention to the circle that follows your reticle. As most people know, the dot in the middle of your screen is the reticle, but in Helldivers 2, the circle that follows this reticle is really where your bullet is going to go. And usually, with bad ergonomics, it takes forever to catch up to your reticle, meaning your aim is a little bit off. So ergonomics basically refers to how snappy and responsive a weapon is to human movement, and the best way to visualize that is just by watching how quickly the circle can catch up to your reticle. And as you can see with the Jar 5 Dominator, there's a noticeable difference. On the left, our circle is just a little late to catch up to the place we want to actually aim, but on the right, it's nearly instant. A fraction of a second and our circle has caught up. There is a clear difference in how the Jar 5 feels when you don't use Peak Physique versus when you do use it. And this distinction becomes way more clear with a weapon like the autocannon. This is a gun that by all accounts shouldn't have incredible ergonomics. It's an over-the-shoulder cannon, that's all you need to hear. It's supposed to be hard to aim. But Peak Physique just doesn't care. As you can see when comparing the left and right, there's a monumental difference between ergonomics here. On the left, we see our circle just takes forever to reach our reticle, especially when we do longer movements. But on the right, it doesn't matter if the movement is short or long, the length doesn't matter. At least that's what my girlfriend told me. And with Peak Physique, it's actually true. But I think you'll be even more impressed by the heavy machine gun. The HMG literally has heavy in the name. By every metric, this is a weapon that should not have good ergonomics under any circumstance. However, with Peak Physique, I'd argue it does. Clearly, it's not amazing, but just compare the left and the right. It is a night and day difference here. If you couldn't see a difference before, you should be able to easily see it now. Without the passive, our weapon is just slower than a snail, but on the right, it somehow turns into a pretty snappy and quick weapon. It's absolutely insane. I mean, I don't know how better to explain it. I'm at a loss of words here. This passive is just nuts. It's mesmerizing to watch. Seriously, it is. But I also wanted to try a machine gun that wasn't, well, heavy, so I did some stalwart testing too. Honestly, even before the Peak Physique passive, the stalwart had really good ergonomics if you ask me. But now it literally feels like a Liberator when using Peak Physique. There is almost no drag at all. I loved the stalwart before this, and now using it with this passive has made me fall more in love with it. I think I might just ask it to marry me. And for the last test, I actually got a little bit curious, and I wanted to try a weapon that wants to use first-person aim-down sights, and the anti-material rifle is the perfect choice. To no surprise, as you can see, the AMR also has fantastic ergonomics with this passive. What might actually surprise you though is you don't even need to aim down sights to get better ergonomics. It looks like the passive is still actually doing something when I'm aiming without a reticle or circle. Now, of course, it's a little more difficult to track this because, again, we don't have that reticle or circle, but I still felt like the gun was more snappy, just like how quick my character is turning and shooting. And that's really kind of my general consensus with using the Peak Physique passive. Every weapon you use just feels quicker, snappier, and far more responsive to human movement. Like I said earlier, this technically buffs every single weapon in the game. At least if you have the passive equipped. Specifically though, I think Peak Physique makes weapons that have bad ergonomics that much better. The heavy machine gun is in a good state whether or not you use this passive, but if you do use this passive, the weapon just becomes infinitely easier to use and aim. That being said though, I think it's a worthwhile passive to have even if you don't have a weapon that has bad ergonomics. I used it with the Adjudicator, which is a weapon that is already snappy and responsive, and it just made the gun so much more fun to use. It was almost kind of like playing Call of Duty, where you don't have to worry about realistic weapon mechanics like drag. You can just spin around the screen and flick to whatever enemy you want. And that is just straight up fun. Seriously, it was blowing my mind when I first used some weapons with this passive. It might sound super lame, but at some points I wasn't even playing the mission because I was just aiming around at everything, watching how fast my weapon was. I would apologize to my teammates, but they would do the same thing if they equipped this armor themselves. I cannot recommend this passive enough. I'm a little sad though because I just made a video on Warbond rankings and now I'm like, damn it, maybe Viper Commandos deserved a little more respect because the armor is just so good now. But for those of you that don't own Viper Commandos, you can actually get the Jaguar armor in the Superstore. This armor not only looks incredible, but does have the Peak Physique passive, so don't feel pressured to buy the Warbond just for the armor. I'm not entirely sure when it'll be back, I don't think anyone is, but considering the shop changes every 2 days and there is no FOMO in the game, it will be back. Just be patient and you'll see it sometime in the next week or so. Point is, this may have been a simple hotfix patch, but it has had a massive effect on the game, at least if you ask me. It has officially made Peak Physique infinitely more valuable. It's not only fun, but it's really, really good, especially for those of you accustomed to standard FPS mechanics. This is the closest you'll ever be to Call of Duty-like aiming, and I know that's something a lot of people will enjoy. Personally, I would have just been happy with the Spear fix, as that is by far my favorite support weapon, but this Peak Physique fix just has me ecstatic. I'm so happy that this passive actually has a major impact, because again, I was under the assumption it was working before, but just didn't do much. Clearly though, I was wrong, and this passive is so damn good. That's about it for me though. I honestly wasn't even planning on making a video today, but this passive was such a surprise that I knew I had to put something out. So let me know what you think about Peak Physique down below. My name is Easy, and I hope you enjoyed this little video. It's a little shorter than most of my videos, but hey, again, I really just wanted to get something out about this. Please drop a sub if you like content like this. We're so close to 10K. I can't thank you guys enough for getting me here. I really never thought I'd even have 100 subscribers, so the fact that we're just a few days away from hitting 10K is just so surreal to me. Speaking of, I actually just launched my YouTube memberships and a Patreon page, so if for whatever reason you like my content that much and want to support me, you can find the link for both down below. Either way, thanks so much for your support. It seriously means a lot. Thank you. I hope to see you stick around. Take care of yourselves and have a fantastic day. See ya!